Welcome to Skytech-Lens. While American headlines blared about buying Greenland, a quieter, more strategic shift was underway in the Arctic. As Washington postured and threatened, Canada, led by Prime Minister Mark Carney, took a different approach, one of partnership, not purchase. Canadian diplomats engaged Greenland and Denmark with respect, proposing mutual benefit instead of ultimatums. While the US saw Greenland as a resource to be claimed, Canada saw a sovereign partner. By late 2025, the US was left out in the cold, having alienated allies and lost influence. Canada, meanwhile, had quietly built an alliance that would reshape the Arctic for decades. The American strategy of threats backfired, creating a vacuum Canada was ready to fill. The world was about to learn a powerful lesson in modern diplomacy. Greenland, long dismissed as a frozen wasteland, holds vast reserves of rare earth metals, crucial for modern technology and defense. These minerals are the backbone of everything from smartphones to fighter jets, and their value is measured in the trillions. The US overlooked its dependence on these resources, a vulnerability Canada was quick to exploit. As the world shifts to green energy and digital economies, control over these minerals means economic and political power. Greenland became the epicenter of a new global competition, not just for resources, but for influence. The US tried to buy its way in, but failed to understand Greenland's desire for partnership and self-determination. Canada, in contrast, offered respect and collaboration, winning Greenland's trust. The future would be shaped not by acquisition, but by alliance. Canada's Arctic success was built on patient diplomacy and genuine partnership. Canadian companies structured deals to ensure Greenland benefited directly, breaking from the old exploitative model. Canada rallied Nordic and European allies, forming a united Arctic front. When Denmark declared coercion against Greenland a NATO issue, the US found itself isolated. Canada's access to critical minerals made it indispensable to global supply chains. Domestically, the One Canadian Economy Act unified internal trade, boosting resilience and growth. Canada's strength came from unity at home and respect abroad. The Arctic realignment transformed daily life across North America. In Canada, shipyards boomed, jobs multiplied, and optimism soared. In the US, critical mineral shortages crippled industries, driving up costs and triggering layoffs. Defense projects stalled, and even NASA faced delays. American tariffs on Canadian goods backfired, hurting US consumers more than Ottawa. While Canada built bridges and prosperity, the US built walls and deepened its own decline. The contrast was stark. One nation rising, the other faltering. The lesson was clear. Collaboration breeds strength, isolation breeds weakness. Canadians felt a surge of pride as their nation outmaneuvered its powerful neighbor. Polls showed overwhelming support for Canada's new direction and economic independence. Business owners celebrated easier trade and new global markets. Meanwhile, American workers and manufacturers faced rising costs and uncertainty, feeling betrayed by failed policies. Even US politicians admitted the strategy had backfired, leaving America isolated. Canada's approach of partnership and unity paid off, while America's reliance on threats led to frustration and decline. The Arctic had become a proving ground for a new kind of power. Canada was no longer in the US shadow. It was setting the pace. America's Arctic miscalculation triggered a global realignment. NATO allies, alienated by US arrogance, began excluding Washington from key Arctic discussions. Asian powers like Japan and South Korea shifted their supply chains to Canada and Greenland, seeking stability. New Arctic shipping lanes opened, but Canada and its partners controlled the contracts. The world was building systems to bypass American influence. The US found itself a spectator in a new global order it could no longer control. The era of America alone had arrived. The most profound change unfolded in Greenland itself. Canadian brokered deals fueled a surge in local investment. Schools, hospitals, and ports rose from mineral wealth. Greenland's new laws ensured locals benefited, setting a global standard for resource development. The nation issued its first sovereign bonds, quickly snapped up by eager investors. Economic independence brought political confidence. Greenland was now independent in all but name. Canada's respectful partnership empowered Greenland, while America's approach had only alienated. Greenland's success became a model for resource-rich nations everywhere. True influence, Canada proved, comes from empowering others. Canada's Arctic victory reshaped its national identity. No longer the junior partner, Canada projected quiet confidence and global leadership. Flush with new revenues, it pledged to meet and exceed NATO defense targets, investing in sovereignty and security. Canada's resources became tools of strategic influence, not just commodities. The world now valued Canada's contributions and respected its leverage. The old inferiority complex was gone, replaced by self-assurance. Canada had come of age as a global Arctic power. The shadow of America had finally lifted. Canada's Arctic triumph is a lesson for the modern world. Power now lies in partnership, not coercion. The US failed by trying to dominate. Canada succeeded by building trust and consensus. In an interconnected world, alliances matter more than threats. Canada's smart power, combining economic strength with diplomacy, set a new standard. The Arctic's future will be shaped by those who build bridges, not walls. Canada didn't seek to diminish the US, but to build a better future for all. In doing so, it became the unlikely leader of the new Arctic era. As the Arctic transforms, its strategic importance has captured the attention of the world's major powers. Russia, with its vast northern coastline, sees the region as both a security buffer and a gateway to new shipping routes. Moscow is expanding its military presence, building icebreakers, and investing heavily in Arctic infrastructure. China, though not an Arctic nation, brands itself a near-Arctic state. Beijing seeks access to resources and influence over new maritime corridors, investing in science, trade, and even diplomatic ties with smaller Arctic players. The region's melting ice unlocks not just resources, but also new avenues for global competition and collaboration. Tensions could flare over territorial claims, fisheries, or freedom of navigation, pitting old alliances against emerging interests. Yet, the Arctic also offers a rare chance for diplomacy, joint scientific research, shared environmental stewardship, and coordinated search and rescue missions. In the coming decades, the fate of the Arctic will be determined by how these powers choose to engage. Will it become a zone of rivalry, or a model of international cooperation? The world is watching as the next chapter in Arctic geopolitics unfolds. The Arctic's transformation is not just a geopolitical game. It is a stark reminder of our planet's fragility. As the ice caps melt at an unprecedented rate, the world faces both environmental challenges and unexpected opportunities. Climate change has turned the Arctic into a frontline battleground, where the impacts are felt most acutely by indigenous communities who have called this region home for millennia. For these communities, the melting ice threatens traditional ways of life, hunting grounds, and even the very land they live on. Yet they also possess invaluable knowledge and resilience that can guide global efforts to adapt and mitigate. The melting ice opens new waterways, potentially reducing shipping times and costs, but at what environmental cost? International organizations like the Arctic Council play a crucial role in addressing these complex issues. Bringing together Arctic states, indigenous representatives, and observers, the Council fosters cooperation on environmental protection and sustainable development. Through joint initiatives in scientific research, pollution control, and climate monitoring, these collaborative efforts aim to preserve the Arctic's unique ecosystem while navigating its evolving landscape. As the world grapples with the duality of opportunity and peril in the Arctic, the choices made today will resonate for generations to come. The Arctic's future hinges not just on the actions of governments and corporations, but on a shared commitment to stewardship and sustainability. In this frozen frontier, humanity has the chance to rewrite the narrative, from one of exploitation to one of guardianship. The stakes are high, but so too is the potential for meaningful change. The Arctic stands as a testament to the interconnectedness of our world, reminding us that what happens in the far north reverberates across the globe. In the end, it is not just the Arctic we are striving to protect, but the very fabric of our shared planet. Thanks for watching. Subscribe the channel for more updates.